So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's May 23rd, 2023 meeting. Following guidance issued by the state in 2020 regarding open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting remotely via Zoom. All those participants who are willing or want to participate can do so by clicking on the Zoom link, which is available on the agenda, which is available on the website, or by calling in. A phone number is also available. For the first item of business, I would like to take a roll call vote of the Board of Selectmen. Robin Hunter, present.
Bob Springett, present.
John Jeffries, present.
The first item of business is public comment. So are there any comments this evening?
But guess not.
I'll take that as a no. And so now, item 1.1, the moment I have been waiting for, the reorganization of the Board of Selectmen. Just as a refresher for those of you who are listening in with bated breath, it is a tradition of the Board of Selectmen in the town of Dover that the last year of each member's term, they act as chair. And so I bestow the honor to Mr. Robert Springett this year, and I shall nominate him as chair of the Board of Selectmen. Do I have seconds?
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor? I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, John Jeffries.
Hi, Bob Springett, I guess.
And with that, Mr. Springett, I am handing the baton over to you. It has been a challenging year as chair for me, and I am excited to sit back and relax a little bit during these meetings.
Yeah, well, maybe not so fast.
Yeah.
So, I want to thank you, Robin. I mean, it really has been a challenging year. From the issues related with the Carroll Community Center to the staff shortages to recruitment of police chiefs and town administrators and all the rest of that stuff that you've sort of shepherded through. I think it's probably, I haven't done this this is my 6th year, but I think this has been one of the most challenging years I remember. And I'm deeply grateful for your leadership. I'm deeply grateful for your friendship. And I really think the three of us do a reasonable job for the town of Dover. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Bob. I really appreciate your kind words. And as you know,
unfortunately, they're true, Robin. They're true.
Right. As you know, I am here to support you as chair in any way that I can, as I'm sure John is as well.
Oh, I'm not so sure about John, but I know you and I go back a while.
I will echo and agree with everything that Bob said. And Bob, I'll add one more thing. Last week at our meeting in the town hall with our final meeting of the candidates, at the end, we had a great dialogue back and forth with both candidates. And at the end, I said to one of the candidates, have we told you how things really work around I said,
collegially they work, unless they don't.
Robin's the boss. She tells us what to do. And then we both interrupted each other and said, no. Mona's the boss.
Mona's the boss. That's right. Mona's the boss.
Mona tells us what to do.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to nominate John Jeffries as clerk of the Board of Selectmen. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
All in favor? I, Bob Springett.
I, Robin Hunter.
Well, I, John Jeffries. Thank you both.
And furthermore, I move to nominate our freshman member of the Board of Selectmen, the newbie, Robin Hunter, as a member of the Board of Selectmen.
Seconded.
All in favor? I, Bob Springett.
I, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Welcome to the Board of Selectmen, Ms. Hunter. We really appreciate the fact that you ran.
Yes.
I'm sure I'll have a lot to learn this year.
Oh, definitely. There's no question about it.
Bob, I told everybody last week that Robin was starting her 8th term in her 20th year.
I don't know. You know, John, in all seriousness, I need to go back and count. Maybe Carol Lisbon knows.
Carol may know, but you started on the warrant committee, didn't you?
Oh, I started in town government in 2002.
Wow. I started in 2005. You got me by 3 years.
Right.
Wow. Was it in Warren or something? Whatever.
I filled the position of a Warren Committee member who was moving to New York for work. And I will tell you, I don't know if any of you remember Joe Melican.
Sure, I do. Yes.
So Joe was my mentor. If it weren't for Joe, I would never have stuck it out. You know, he said to me, it was before email was prevalent back then. And he said to me, Robin, don't worry about a thing. I'm retired. I'll go to the town hall. I'll open all the mail. If there's anything important, I'll email you or call you and we can figure it out together.
That was clearly old Dover.
all the terms I served on the Warren Committee, Joe was my mentor, my partner.
Yeah.
He made it possible for me as a working mom. I mean,
Well, that's,
so
that's kind of
I'm always extremely thankful to him for everything he did.
Well, that's one of the benefits of being in public service. You know, you really do meet some really nice people,
Right.
and they care deeply about the town as we do.
Right.
And it sort of just plays off itself back and forth. So
Right.
Certainly glad to have you for all those years. Thank you very much. So the item 1.2, town administrator finalist deliberations and vote. Presenter, Ms. Hunter.
You know, for most of you, as you recall, John and I, because you weren't able to attend the meeting, Bob, but the final step in the town administrator search was to have our 2 finalists in Patrick Shield, who is the current town administrator of Walpole, and Michael Blanchard, who is the current assistant town administrator of Easton. John and I interviewed with the help of Bernie Lynch of Community Paradigm, our recruiter. We interviewed both candidates. I thought that process, as the final process, went very well. Each presented themselves, their experiences. They answered a handful of questions, and John and I both commented at the end that it was going to be a really tough choice. We had 2 very, very, very strong candidates. Over the weekends, we received a communication from Patrick Shield, and he indicated that after a long deliberation, he felt that it wasn't the right time for him to leave his position as assistant TA at the town of Walpole. He had unfinished business to take care of, so to speak. And although he thought the challenge in Dover was a good fit for him, at this time, you know, it wasn't the right decision for him. So, you know, right now we have our 1 finalist, Michael Blanchard. I will tell you from the first interview on the screening committee that I had with Michael, I wanted to make him a job offer. From that moment, I felt that he was really a great fit for the town of Dover, for what we need today. Every interview that I had with him, subsequent interview, I got more and more excited about the match of his skill set to what we needed at the town of Dover at this point in time. after spending 5 of 7 days with him, I feel as though I got to know him quite well. And again, even on a personal level, I enjoyed the rapport. But most importantly, in my opinion, he was the right and is the right candidate for Dover. And I would be very, very excited to bring him on board to help us as we continue on our journey.
Thank you, Robin. John?
Thank you, Robin. Thanks, Bob. I'm gonna read my notes as I prepared them very early this morning. So the search process has been extensive and thorough. Thank you to everyone who participated. We, the Board of Selectmen, put in a great deal of time, as Robin and I both mentioned last week, and you've probably heard throughout this process. Great deal of time and effort went into this, as Robin said, many nights, many weekends. First, the Board of Selectmen began by interviewing and selecting the search firm. So as Robin said, to Bernie and to Sharon, thank you. Bernie, Sharon, this has been an excellent job. And we, the Board of Selectmen, thank you. Second, interviewing and selecting the screening committee. Thank you to all the members of the screening committee. And third, thank you to the candidates. Our 2 finalists, Michael Blanchard and Patrick Shield. I hope you're watching. And as I told you both last week, I believe you both will be town administrators. You are both well qualified. You're both a pleasure to be with. You are both prepared to lead a town. And my selection is Michael Blanchard. So I would be happy to give anyone who cares to see them these notes. And my son Nick's edits, as you know.
Well, Nick did a phenomenal job, John.
Thanks, John. Well, the benefit of going less is you don't have a lot to say. Everything's sort of been said. I do want to thank Bernie. I think he worked very well with Robin. I think you guys did a great job. Clearly, the committee, the screening committee, I think put in a great deal of effort. And it sounded to me like there was really consensus around 2 candidates. That's always that's sort of a good and bad thing. It's a good thing to have 2 well-qualified people to apply for a job, but trying to make a decision between those 2 is a whole different kettle of fish. John and I tag team on a Friday morning, right, John?
Yes.
So we each met those 2 candidates, and we each spent about an hour or so with each of those candidates. And I can tell you that both candidates left me energized. I used to, when I was interviewing for JP Morgan, if I left an interview energized, I had the right person. But here I had 2 people who left me energized. So that was sort of a dilemma. Both guys really were impressive. Both guys, slightly different personalities, a little bit sort of different backgrounds, but they were really solid guys, or candidates, I should say. And again, once again, I've done this a lot. At the end of the day, you go through all the qualifications and you go through all the discussions and you raise points of interest. And Bernie prepared all these guys so they knew my hot button items, and they certainly, drilled me to the, on a couple of things. But at the end of the day, it comes down to feel, which is the most, weirdest sort of emotion to have. And this equally qualified, well-spoken, very possessed, mature, all that stuff. What's the right feel for Dover? And I thought Michael had the right feel for Dover as well. I don't know what the next step is. I guess I just make the motion,
Right.
and we move on. Hopefully we can complete the contract and get Michael on board ASAP. It's a challenging job. I think if I talk to Carl off the record, he'll tell me it's a challenging job. It was a challenging job, for Chris, who was less experienced than Michael. but I still think that we're at challenging times. Not just Dover as a community, but other smaller towns. We have an issue with retaining people and making sure that we can do all the things our residents wish us to do. So with that, I move to appoint Michael Blanchard as town administrator, subject to the successful negotiation of an employment agreement.
Seconded.
All in favor? I, Bob Springett.
I, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
Congratulations, Michael, if you're on the line. Look forward to working with you. Bernie, again, thank you very much. Let's see what's next here. Hang on a second, guys.
You can't get rid of Bernie yet. I think there's one more item.
I can't get rid of Bernie yet.
No, you can't let him go yet.
We can't let him go. All right. Well, he's a nice guy. We can keep him.
10 more minutes till dinner, Bernie.
Let me just get through this stuff here. A lot of documentation. So, so I'm on item 1.3. And that's to designate a selectman to negotiate an employment agreement for the new town administrator. Hey, John, what do you think of our new guy?
I think the new guy is up for the task, and I think I would be honored to nominate Robin Hunter to negotiate the contract.
You can't nominate, you have to designate.
I'm sorry, designate. I move to designate Robin Hunter as the member of the Board of Selectmen to negotiate the contract.
All right, I'm gonna have to correct you. I move to designate Robin Hunter to work with Community Paradigm in negotiating an employment agreement with the new town administrator. How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I, Bob Springett first.
Oh yeah, I'm Bob Springett first.
I, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
Congratulations, Robin. I told you you weren't going to go far.
Bob, you're
Right,
little.
and just on a serious note, Bernie, thank you for everything. I'll be in touch. Michael, if you're on the phone, I am looking forward to getting your contract done quickly so that we can start working together. We're really looking forward to having you on board.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I want to thank the board, the opportunity to work with the board on this search. I think you have a great candidate. You had a great screening committee, and as always, it's a pleasure to work with the people in Dover. So looking forward to perhaps continuing that in the future. So, but thank you.
Bernie, did you have fun?
I did have fun. I always have
that's
fun.
Important. That's an important element. Thank you
Very
very
good.
much. We look forward to working with you as well. Thank you.
Very good.
So,
Thank
John,
you.
what was the correction? What did I do wrong?
No, I said, Bob, you're just a little
You have to
rusty.
go first.
You have to
Oh,
go
I have
first.
to go first. I'm used to going second.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
No sleeping on the job.
Oh, gosh almighty. Okay. Item 1.4, vote to approve license agreement between the town of Dover and Dover Automotive for use of a portion of 5 Whiting Road. Presenters, Mr. Valente and Mr. Warnick. Carl, you got it.
So Carl, I think you wasn't clear which Carl you were referring to, but Carl Warnick's on the call.
The one with the C, and then it'll do the one with the K.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let Carl take this one.
Okay.
And Carl, you're on mute. There you go.
Hey, Carl.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. A little delayed. So Dover Automotive is excited to have another year lease. I don't have any plans to use the building or renovate the building till the fiscal year 2025.
I'm glad you said that, Carl, because we don't have any money in the budget
I know
for
that.
fiscal 24.
FY 25 will put some money in through capital to do the renovations for the storage of the Carroll Community Center. I should be able to get it done within the time frame if and when Carroll goes through. And just going forward, Dougie was very happy to have another year lease.
So Carl, is that June 30th, 2024?
The lease will go from yes till 2024, June
Okay.
30th. The fiscal year, then we have fiscal year 25 for budgeting purposes.
Yep.
So I don't anticipate needing the building in the up and coming years, so I don't see a problem. And I would recommend to renew his license agreement. Same terms as we've had for the last 20 years.
Hopefully you raise the rent.
That's always been a challenge with him.
What is the rent?
$400 a month. I inherited that back from when Park and Rec had the building.
Dave McTavish negotiated that?
Yep. And I inherited Dougie.
Okay. John or Robin, any questions for Carl?
No, I think given where we are, seems like a good use of the facility for now.
Yeah, we probably could have got a couple of more buckaroos, but who knows?
If you would like, Bob, we can have Carl Valenti have a conversation with Mr. Wolf to see if there can be a market adjustment in the rent.
You know, I'm sort of the motion. I think it's probably normally I would agree. I think the last year of this contract, assuming that we get a positive vote on this third, I'd let sleeping dogs lie right now.
I would agree.
Yeah, I would agree too.
Okay, I move to approve the license agreement between the town of Dover and Dover Automotive for use of a portion of 5 Whiting Road effective July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Seconded.
All in favor, aye, Bob Springett.
Aye, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
I am not used to you going last.
Yeah, I'm not. I have to keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
I will follow through and execute the contract with him.
Thank
Okay,
you,
thanks,
Carl.
Carl. I'm on item 1.5. Appoint Mary Hornsby and Robert Seiler to the
Seiler.
Personnel Board. So the co-chairs of the Personnel Board have recommended that the Selectmen reappoint Mary Hornsby and Robert Seiler to the Personnel Board to fill existing vacancies. Any questions or issues or from the other board members? We're good?
Thank them both for their interest and greatly appreciate it.
Okay. I move to reappoint Mary Hornsby to the Personnel Board to fill an unexpired term effective July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. I also move to appoint Robert Seiler to the Personnel Board for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026.
Seconded.
All in favor, aye, Bob Springett.
Aye, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
Excellent. Board members will, 1.6, board members will provide updates on various topics, projects, and initiatives. Progress update on the community center building project. That's me. I am in the process of preparing for the special town meeting on June 3rd. There are 2 aspects of the work. One is an FAQ document that I have completed the first draft of and sent on for comments. And the other is the presentation material that Carl and I continue to work on. We'll find out on June 3rd how we do. And the other projects that I have underway are the 3 of 5 committee. We've spent February to May trying to get 6 or 7 members on the same page. It's sort of getting a same sense of how town works, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The drill is going to end in June when each of the 3 working groups sort of summarizes their work, and we can find out, exactly where we are and what we need to do to move that project forward, either over the summer or in the fall. The other question that I have is, I was assuming, and I don't know if I haven't looked through the entire agenda. I would like to work with the warrant committee this year as board rep. I don't know if that's coming up later. Or not.
We usually start to do that over the summer,
Okay, so
so we
it's
could just do
premature
it
at this point.
sooner.
Melissa just has a couple of things going on.
Right. I think we should do it sooner rather than later. The same thing is I hope that by the end of June, we can begin to have some of those planning meetings with the new town administrator.
Yeah, I think that's
as
really
part of
important,
that,
Robin.
right.
I agree. We really should start that earlier. Planning in July and August for the current years, it's always sort of bothered me a bit. And I don't know why we don't use the last part of June to sort of do some of that work. But in any event, I'd like to get that started ASAP. Yes.
Right. I mean, one of the things that we talked to the director of the DPW about at the end of last year was starting to begin to discuss his capital budget requests now. And the capital budget is starting to set up some of those meetings. And I think that will be good, so that by the time the capital budget season begins, we will have a much better understanding of what is needed in the DPW, what kind of additional services we may want to help with the decisions that need to be made.
You want to do that before?
Yeah, we're going to start doing that now.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Robin?
No, I mean, for me, the school negotiations have wrapped up, and as soon as that contract is ratified by both the teachers and the school committee, then we can discuss the details of it. I think we need to think about, and you've been working on the Carroll Community Center communications, and then I think we need to step into high gear, Hale reservation. I know we're trying to get a meeting set up with the Westwood Board of Selectmen, but it would be great if we could begin to do some of that work now as well.
Agreed.
But, the most important thing for me is planning with the new town administrator, kind of laying out priorities, figuring out what needs to get done.
Yeah, but then the nice thing about that is we have a couple of years under our belts about how to do that. So it'd be sort of introductory. I think that process should go smoothly.
I hope so.
The question that I have for you guys is I had intended to, as part of the presentation on June 3rd, to raise the issue of Hale in the context of future potential borrowing needs. There were two things we talked about at the ATM. One was the spike in capital projects, and the other was Hale. At a point in time, I remember talking with Jim about doing that, and I thought he was in favor of, sort of laying out for the town what the future borrowing aspects might be. But I'll recheck with him on that and make sure that it sort of fits within the parameters of the special town meeting. And I'll also ask Carl to opine on that at a different date. And if that were true, then one of the last slides I have in the presentation talks about Hale, and I was going to ask John to do 5 or 10 minutes, just sort of as an intro to Hale, to sort of raise the profile of that particular project at a time when we may have 400 people attending the special town meeting. But I got to clear a couple of hurdles on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But John, you'd be good, yes?
Yes, that'd be good. We did have a conversation on that, Bob, after you dropped off, after your presentation, and then at the moderators meeting 2 weeks ago, where they had asked, were we going to make a specific presentation on Article 3, which is
Yeah, Article 3 is just the 3 people.
incorporates, right? It incorporates spending of
Yeah.
what we're going to do. And so I thought in light of, okay, that's part of that's obviously part of the spending for the Carroll project, but it leads into the segue of spending in general. So
Okay.
Which then leads, you know, the issue we have here is the desire and the need to be transparent, but also the need to be able to present things simplistically so that everybody understands them. So my concern is, and I don't know because I have not been at the information sessions, it's important to let people know what else is coming down the pike, so to
Right.
speak. So it's not only hail, it's also the extensive amount of capital replacements.
No, I
Yeah.
absolutely agree, Robin.
Scheduled.
Absolutely agree.
But you know what I'm concerned about is, does that muddy the waters? And I don't have an answer to that and to this question. And how do you show it in a way that it provides the information that is needed for the town, but it doesn't complicate the issue at hand at the special town meeting.
I think
I don't have an answer. It's just something I've been thinking about.
so. You do have a chart though from the ATM on capital requests, right? Future needs.
Right. Well, you know, Chris and Carl has kept this up as part of the, you know, when we were looking at the capital fund that we were setting up,
Yeah.
we put together a model for capital expenditures over, you know, the next 10 years.
Yep.
And revenue growth. And as you recall, what we said was the most important thing for us was to live under the tax levy and to not have spikes
Right.
in the tax rate. So we've sort of modeled things where we're assuming that 1.5% of operating expenses go towards capital. So that would fit under the tax levy. So, you know, what we need to, and I've been trying to think about how to show this. So what we need to do is, you know, the number we have for capital, just for all the replacements that we know of over the next 5 years, is about $18 million.
Right.
But there's a couple of important things to understand about that. One, these are just almost wish items. So we still need to vet, do you need to replace those over the next 5 years? What happens if you stretch those out and replace them over 7 years? What happens if you replace them over 10 years? And then how do you balance the debt service under that 1.5% versus, you know, buying things with cash as well? So, you know, so I'm afraid this model that seems simplistic to me just is also going to overcomplicate things for somebody that's sitting in town meeting and this is the first time they've heard of it. So to me, you know, when I think about what's important is we do plan, we do know that there's a lot of replacements coming down the pike, but it doesn't mean you have to replace all of these things in the next 5 years. And it's our responsibility to replace them within the levy, the tax levy, so that we can do what we want, what we pledged to do. And that was to minimize the spikes in the tax rate. Because, you know, what overrides do is they kind of, you know, they give you that bump over 2.5%. So I'm not sure how to explain that simply. That's my
Okay. Do you have any big items in that 5-year span or 7-year span?
Yeah, I mean, each fire truck is like $1 million, and there's a lot of vehicles that need to be replaced. There's the turf floor. I don't remember everything. The good news is a lot of the school stuff has been done, but there's still things that need to get done.
Well, Chickering's 20 years plus, and so is the middle school, right?
Right, and they have replaced roofs, but we've already started doing that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's an interesting, it is a dilemma. I mean, on one hand, the special town meeting is focused on the community center, and then introducing something sort of ancillary seems odd. On the other hand, there's this letting people know what's coming down the pike sort of aspect to it. And I'm with you. It's tough. I can't quite figure out how to make this segue.
Right, and I think the three of us have always pledged to be transparent,
Yep.
to understand what's out there, but I don't want people walking away and saying, oh my God, I have to spend $18 million, because you don't
You
have
may
to
not.
spend $18 million all today. You can spread it out, and we do have a whole lot of capacity from a debt perspective, but we want to balance, we want to manage the tax rate growth. We want to maintain a AAA rating, and that becomes even more important now, right?
Yep.
And we need to replace capital. So
Yep.
it's just finding the right balance.
Yeah, I think that's right. John,
I
anything?
agree. Talking about some of the things that the degree of transparency, I think, is critically important, because as Robin was talking about earlier in her remarks about being chair and about having the years of service, like Robin, we talked about this last week, Bob. I started on warrant, and the only difference was it was the same year as Robin, but I was living in Wellesley at the time. And so the town manager in Wellesley was a gentleman named Arnold Wakeland, who was very much like Robin spoke about, the person that would really take you under his wing, and explained that surprises financially in the budget, in the finance and budget committee, surprises are like a snowball that will build year over year over year. And what he vehemently wanted to avoid was an override, because an override one year could lead to an override the next year and an override the year after, because people just were not prepared. And the tax levy is not flexible enough with Proposition 2.5 to absorb those big unexpected spikes. So I just think that our job, and the job of complete transparency, is to avoid those potential overrides. And if we do that, it may be painful and it may take a few more years, but you will absolutely be served well in the long run for avoiding those continuous overrides.
I agree.
Right. I mean, it's what we all do in our own personal lives.
Yeah.
You can't always afford everything you want when you want it,
Well,
or ever.
We do that, Robin, and we do it in our personal lives and in the town of Dover. They can't seem to do that in Washington, D.C. Imagine that.
Well, it's a bigger barrel of fish down that way. And a lot of guys have harpoons. So John, how about Hale? What's going on?
Well, Hale, the update is, as you mentioned earlier, Carl is working with Hale to get another joint meeting. The first one that we did all the meetings with Westwood have gone very well with their Board of Selectmen and their town council. So that's the next step. We're also being mindful of their town meeting. Their town meeting is coming up just as ours, and their town meeting just as ours has got a lot on their plate. So that is in the process. I want to also bring you both up to date with regards to the chief's search and the chiefs of police search committee. As we discussed at our last several meetings with regard to the the union request and the union conversation, the inability to have Katie on the search committee as we voted last week. I've discussed this opportunity to fill this vacancy with several people. We've had interest from several parties. I have made an offer to Dr. Deb Reinman, who is our principal at Chickering. I think everybody on the call and Zoom this evening knows Deb. She, as I mentioned, is the principal at Chickering. She is a very long time resident of Dover. She, God bless you, Bob. She is also a paramedic and an EMT on our Dover firefighters squad. So she's a volunteer and wears quite literally many hats within the town. She's got great perspective. She's been a longtime resident. She quite literally checks all the boxes. We had a really fun conversation. She was on her way to third grade lunch, and
PB&J.
I'm taking your call. Oh, and I'm telling you, you are interrupting third grade lunch at the moment. So I made an impassioned plea. I did it very quickly, and she's going to get back to us with her decision. So as you can imagine, she has a lot on her plate this time of year, and so I hope we are successful. But that's
so we're missing one person. Do we have a consulting firm that we've hired?
Carl. The bids came in yesterday.
Okay, so that process is moving along. Carl, you're muted.
At your next meeting, John and I will bring you the recommendation for the consulting firm.
Okay.
How many bids did we get, Carl?
We received 4. We had to disqualify 1 for not meeting all of our requirements, but we have 3 right now that we're considering.
Okay, great. Is it like every project? Do we have to take the lowest bidder? Or?
In this case, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But the lowest bidder who met all of our qualifications.
Okay.
So we set some pretty strict but appropriate qualifications.
Okay, great.
Okay, so are there any other issues from the members of the committee? Cover everything? Okay. So on to the calendar. Determine July and August meeting schedules, which are always sort of sketchy. June 7th, we have the Board of Selectmen and Planning Board, or MBTA. June 13th looks like a meeting dedicated to finishing up year end as the 28th. When we talk about July, we want to get a planning meeting in there pretty early.
Yeah, I mean, let's see how quickly we can come to terms with Michael and when he can start.
Okay, you want
And
to
maybe-
just pencil
Yeah, and
something
maybe-
in the week of the 10th? July
Yeah,
10th?
and you know, maybe one of the things I can ask him is if we have the contract signed, but maybe he's still transitioning, if maybe he would be willing to spend a little bit of time with us just on the planning. So at least we can get that started.
Get
Right.
it done.
Right.
So is the week of the 10th a good target date?
I'm around.
Yep. John, okay, so Carl, we'll plan something. So then the question becomes that'd be a kickoff meeting. Should we then also try to have a meeting later in July as a follow-up meeting before we send things out to other boards and committees about goals?
Yeah, that certainly works for me.
John?
Here, my kids are at the age where we are now on the wedding circuit of
My kids haven't hit that yet.
I have 4 weddings this
And
summer.
yeah.
Are friends of my kids.
Hmm.
Which are really, really fun, by the way. Absolutely great to go to. So just saying.
So Carl, with those two tentative dates in July, we'll use one of them as a BOS meeting as well. So we don't have to have a third meeting.
Right, yeah, the week of the 10th would be great, because if we have to do any cleanup on the budget, we have to do it before the 15th, July
Okay.
15th.
Okay.
So
So-
we'll check your schedules for that week.
Yeah,
And then, are we then looking at the last week of July? Is that?
yes, sir, yes. Last week of July. Has a potential for wrap up the planning process and get stuff out to the other boards and committees.
Got it.
And then when we get into August, Robin, John, do you guys remember we just one meeting in August or for business?
I think we should do one for business, but I would like to try keep it flexible just in case we need.
Yeah, of course.
Some
So
more
either
planning.
looks like 10th might be the date for a business meeting,
That works for me,
and then we'll see where we go from there.
right?
John, you good?
I'm good. The end of August. I have 2 weddings at the end of August.
You're gonna be accused of bigamy. Hey, trigger me. I don't even know.
Just
You know.
attending weddings. That's not, I'm going where I'm told to be.
I got it. Okay, so Carl, is that good?
We'll look you up tentatively at the 10th.
Roughly 10th of August for BOS meeting.
Okay,
Okay,
yep.
great. All right, item 1.7, Town Administrator updates, Mr. Valente.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to share the screen here. So just 2 or 3 items to bring you up to date on. First is recruitments, HR director recruitment. So we have 2 finalists, and we'll be doing those final interviews on June 1st. And at this point, we're still including the schools, looking at this being a joint position. So I'll be part of this final interview, as well as the superintendent, the business manager, and one of the school principals. So that's moving along. In terms of the number 6, the planning director recruitment, so we had no luck at all, or what to speak of, in terms of our own recruitment. So we reached out to Community Paradigm. They've given us a proposal to help us with recruiting for that position. The planning board votes, I want to say it's June 5th, for that contract, to award that contract to Community Paradigm, although we're hopeful that they'll be able to, Community Paradigm will at start working before then.
Excellent. We had the update on Hale.
Yeah, the update in Hale, just keep that date, June 5th, on your schedule.
So Carl, the IT project about the server migration, how we doing on that guy? I mean, it looks like it's in process, but I don't, the municipal broadband implementation.
So I believe they decommissioned, if that's the right term, the old server.
And we used to shoot them.
Yeah, well, that's not allowed anymore in Massachusetts. So anyway,
Civilization, bah humbug.
they did decommission. I know one of the 2. I don't know if the second one has been decommissioned. So that is moving along. Part of that also, sort of a companion piece, is number 14, the broadband, are putting in both a new and a much faster wide area network.
Yeah,
And I heard from our vendor, so we bid that out already. We have a grant to cover the cost. I heard from our vendor in the last couple of days, they expect the materials to be here by July 1st. And they expect the work to be completed, their work to be completed by the end of September. So actually constructing the network, the fiber network. We then need to do some work in terms of the switches and firewalls on our end.
yeah, routers, and yeah.
And I have a proposal for that piece of the work from Retrofit. And I'm looking at, we have another grant that is available to us. It's just that it's a timing issue. If we can sort of do the purchase of that before the end of the fiscal year, then we also could use that grant for that purpose, for
Oh,
that
that'd be great.
remaining. So I sent off an email today to the state agency that's project managing that. I'm waiting to hear back.
The rest look like they're in process.
Yeah, everything else, unless you have specific questions about any of the other ones, I didn't have any other updates for you.
Yeah, so the building projects, the window and the roof is the roof, those are all on, you see it happening.
Yeah, the roof.
Which I'm assuming you're just running down the track, right?
Got a
Following
great
the plan.
update on the roof yesterday, Bob. Explained how the flashing is going under the bricks. Really cool.
I'll have to go check it out.
Have
Okay.
the windows started?
No,
No, just the roof, I think.
roof
Yeah,
and
because it says windows construction commencing in spring.
the
Yeah,
flashing.
it was, I have to update that. It was supposed to, though, they're still waiting for the windows to be delivered from the manufacturer.
So that's a materials issue, Carl?
That's a materials issue, right?
Okay, great.
They've been ordered.
Yeah, that seems to be the supply chain problem. They've been ordered, but nobody knows where the hell they are. We can only do what we can do, guys. All right, I am on item C1. Are we all together?
We are.
Excellent. It's a consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of the following. Approve acceptance and expenditure of $7,500 Mass Department of Energy and Environmental Affairs grant for tree preservation. Designate town administrators authorize access to Mass Energy Insight energy use data. Approve 2023 one-day special liquor licenses for May 21st, June 3rd. That's our special town meeting. I didn't know we were having drinks. June 4th, June 8th, June 10th, June 18th, June 24th, June 25th. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second,
All in favor? Aye, Bob Springett.
I, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Wonderful.
Before we adjourn, can I just remind everybody who's watching this evening that I'm going to be honored to welcome everyone next Thursday at the Dover Sherburne graduation, where I will be very quickly saying welcome and very quickly reminding everybody that on Saturday, June 3rd, is a town meeting. We'll be expecting to see all those Dover moms and dads and graduates who are eligible to vote in attendance at our special town meeting.
That sounds good. There is a COA volunteer thank you event coming up too. You should be aware of it. Obviously, Memorial Day. All those things are happening soon.
And our Memorial Day event is actually on Tuesday, the actual Memorial Day.
Yeah, is it 4 to 6?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will be out of town.
So we've heard. We're wondering where you're off to.
Southern Wisconsin, Lake
Ah,
Michigan.
and there's a lovely hotel there that I've stayed at. And I'm assuming you're frequenting the same place.
We are.
All right, so business is conducted. Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn
So,
into
No.
Nope,
executive.
sorry, Carl.
Yeah, we're
No,
going
I don't-
into executive.
Oh,
session.
do we have the language here somewhere?
We have to make a roll call.
It's, it should be in your package.
I got
too.
it. Sorry. I was going through all the consent agenda items. So ES1, executive session, exception 3, discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Dover Police Association. Board members will enter into executive session to discuss and vote on the memorandum of agreement between the town and the Dover Police Association. I move that the board enter into executive session not to return to open session. The purpose of conducting strategy sessions in preparation for collective bargaining negotiations with labor union personnel. Further, as chair, I declare that an open meeting discussion may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the town. A roll call vote is required. So that was my motion.
Yeah,
You
John
first.
Jeffries,
You first.
Bob Springett, agree? Yes.
John Jeffries, yes.
Robin Hunter, yes.
Okay, done.